Hello and welcome back to another OmniHeroes video. In this video, we are just going to go through the meta teams, the meta teams in my YGG. Now, it might be different in your Yggdrasil, but for me, there are a couple of key units which you require in order to go as far as possible, really. So, first things first, let me just jump into my defensive lineup, and we'll just go through the teams in full. So we do have this concoction of random units from different faction synergies, which again, it's a pretty disgusting team, and it's just gross. Like the reasons for the units being in here. Again, they have no correlation with faction synergies. They have no correlation with anything really. It's just these are the best units of the bunch. So first things first, I've got Dahlia. Dahlia is not required on this team, but really does help, especially in longer matches where you need her to swap with Arthur as many times as possible to get his HP up and to get his attack up as well, because he will do extra damage based on his HP and attack. So very, very strong combo with Arthur here. Now Arthur himself, very powerful unit. He is not available in the Oracle shop. He was only available last season and at the very end of the season as well, and probably for good reason. Now, I don't think he's better than Elisha. I don't think he is better than Gaia, unless he has his runes. In which case, I do think he is probably the best of the bunch. And the reason for that, for me personally, I just love this character. I love super defensive units, super tanky units. He is often the one, by himself at the very end. So very, very strong, and you want to power him up as much as possible, which is what the rest of the units on the team will do. So Dahlia, again, to swap with Arthur as much as possible, providing that attack and HP up. Whenever a unit takes action, Arthur will effectively gain HP and defense 100% per action taken, so works very well if you do have Gaia's runes. I do not have Gaia's runes at the moment. I'm saving up for next season. So yeah, I don't have Gaia's runes at the moment. Probably should do, because she has a 50% chance to take an additional action when she does, so would work very well in combination with Arthur's passive skill as well. You've got Eudora. Of course, Eudora is the goat. I'm not going to hear anything about Dahlia being it. I'm not going to hear anything about Atrox, Cleo. It does not matter. If you've got Eudora, you've got her red runes with skin. She is pretty much unkillable and will wipe out a lot of problems for you. Gaia is in here primarily because of her speed reduction. So she will reduce the enemy's speed by 30 points. So effectively, all enemies will go much slower than your team, which will give you a much needed advantage in PvP environments. The same is true of Elisha as well. So Elisha, she does not reduce speed, but she does increase max attack and max HP on crit. So if any of our units crit, they all gain a stack of HP up and attack up as well, which is very, very powerful. Again, in combination with Arthur, the fact that he does damage equal to his health on top of the reflect damage he's already doing makes him very, very strong. The relics that I've gone for Lance. The only reason that I've gone for Lance is because there's a new relic out, the relic being an Ethereal Dooms relic, which means that is going to immediately replace this Lance. It really is. I'm really looking forward to that relic, but at the moment we've got one Dooms relic, which will give us 100 relic energy, pop straight into the shield. We want to protect this front line as much as possible so that it gives time for Arthur to build up. And then you've got the Demon Blade Whip as well, which increases max HP by 75%, and also whenever a relic casts, it will also increase HP. So just something to keep in mind. So those are the relics for the first team. Second team is, again, it's just a mishmash At the moment, fortunately, I've got Cleopatra, so can run Cleopatra in this slot. We do have the full 5 monarchs. We have 3 royals in the form of Astrid, Aphrodite, and Cleopatra. We have 3 Avengers in the form of Cleopatra, Mavis, and Aphrodite. We have 2 Celestials, so we have Aphrodite and Cleopatra. We have 2 Shadow Arcs, Halissa and Astrid. And then we do have 1 Light Seeker, would be 2 if I had my Halissa up to 15 stars, which I'm working on at the moment. And then 1 Deviant as well. The 1 Deviant doesn't really do very much. Again, allies at the start of battle increases leech rate of all allies by 15%. We don't leech altogether too much on this team. It's not about leeching, but yeah, it is what it is. So that's the team setup. I'll go through it in a bit more detail shortly, but the relics for this chest, it is a must run. Chest, absolutely a must run. You could take out Sphere and put in Blades of Chaos, and you can run Hand of Tyr as well. The reason that I use Sphere is because I do get the, whenever a unit dies, I get the 75% increase in HP for all my units, which works out, I think, better than having Holy Shield stacks, because the Holy Shield stacks can be removed. These HP increases will last for, I believe it's 3 rounds, and it does very, very well. Works very, very well. So these are the team setups that I run. I don't change them. And again, the reason that I don't change them is because these teams they do appear to be evergreen. And it's because the tactics behind them are not related to these seasonal synergies. It just so happens that we do have Doom Phantoms on here, and we have a Doom on here as well. But primarily these teams are evergreen. Now, with regards to this team, we do have Aphrodite to perform those steals, to steal enemy units, because quite often you're up against an opposing Aphrodite, an opposing Gaia, and your own Aphrodite will get around that. Astrid for the attack increase and the Monarch synergy, of course. Mavis and Halissa work very well as a pair together. Mavis specifically, Mavis has a lot of potential when it comes to death, so it's very hard to kill her on this team, and when you do kill her, she's going to do max amount of damage. Halissa for the buffs, for the heal as well that she gives on basic, don't sleep on that, and also for the massive damage that she can do. And Cleopatra to work alongside Astrid, and Halissa to give as much attack to our team as possible. So now we've seen the teams, let's jump into some gameplay for them. So we'll have a look first at Sand, and then we'll have a look at Kumpai's matches, and we'll just have a breakdown of what's going on in them. Sorry about that. So the recorder crashed on me. It wasn't actually the recorder, it was my phone. So I most definitely need a new phone. Fortunately, I'm picking one up. So we can go ahead. This is an attacking attempt by me. As you can see, I've got my team set up basically the same, just maybe positions have switched around slightly. But the primary purpose is Dahlia and Arthur in this front slot, so that we can trade as much as possible. Now, Eudora is going to do massive amounts of damage here. Would have killed enemy Eudora if not for the revival function. However, we do get, when they try to attack us, we get that reflect damage back. So really important that we get that reflect damage in there, because that's just saved our bacon, effectively. Now, this team, we are moving much faster than the enemy team. And again, there is a counter Gaia there, but because we are attackers, we move much faster than the enemies do. So very, very strong, very powerful ability. And as you can see, we've got our attacks so high at the moment that it is really tough for these enemies to survive any of our attacks, especially without the Monarch setup. But fortunately, we're moving into this next match. As you can see, lots of stacks going on. I did have Victoria in that team at one point, but decided to take her out over Gaia, because if you don't have Gaia, you will lose. If you do have Gaia, you're going to win. So Sand beaten me many, many times, and it's all because he put Gaia in the right team. So this team, we are, again, looking at a Monarch build. We do have chest here to stop that, so specifically to stop the enemy's relics from going off as much as possible, and it also removes that holy shield effect as well. So we get the healing here. It doesn't really affect our team too much, the healing, it's not super required, but it's more the debuff effect that the sphere provides. So the sphere will remove, I think, 5 stacks of debuff from the units that it touches. So that is 3 of those units have had debuffs removed, can come up quite frequently. So because there's no Gaia in the enemy team, looks like we're just going to be able to power through. This should not take out enemy Astrid, but we get close, get very, very close. Yeah, we get very, very close. And then same is true of our Astrid here. Because we've got Cleo going first, Astrid did her double ultimate, and as well, we do, yeah, the enemy will not. So they've still got to do their double ult. Fortunately, we did steal the enemy Astrid, so that shouldn't hopefully happen to us again. It nearly did with Halissa taking out Aphrodite. That would have been a big hit, been a really big hit. And we get the steal here. This is just going to be the meta moving forward. I can promise you that. This will 100% just be the meta moving forward, is having Gaia on one team, Aphrodite on the other. Doesn't matter how many stacks you've got built up. It's all about whether or not, or well, who goes first, and also it's all about who steals first. So even though we stole first, enemy Aphrodite has still stolen one of our team, which means that she's going to proc much more frequently. She's going to be able to attack all the way through without repercussion, without fear of our Aphrodite proccing as well. So can be very tough in these matchups, very long matchups as well, typically. But that's why we've got Mavis in here as well. So on death, Mavis will take out a lot of the enemies. Fortunately, she's building up her attack. She does that over the course of the battle. The number of deaths on the field, I believe, is the reason for that. Now we get this heal in here again. Doesn't really matter too much about the heal. It's about removing those debuffs and about increasing max HP when one of our units dies. Funnily enough, none of our units have died so far. So it is what it is. The only counter, really, to Aphrodite is having a really strong team and one in which you won't be able to remove this unit here, or this unit that she does steal. They don't die. And if that is the case, then she can't steal anymore, so she can't chain off. So we want to see our Aphrodite survive for as long as possible. Fortunately, enemy is using this Holy Shield effect, which helps stop that, and we were able to stun the enemy Aphrodite. Stunning that Aphrodite, or freezing her, or binding her, is the only way to stop all of her bullshit. Pardon my French, but it's the only way really to stop all of her bullshit. So we get our attack up here. This should be close to the end for these guys. It is full 5 Monarch team on the enemy team as well, so something to take into consideration. That full 5 Monarchs, and Mavis has been stolen. That'll kind of work out well for us, but we'll have to see. But again, the full 5 Monarch team, again, you can't one-shot the enemy, which is why Aphrodite is so toxic, because you can't just one-shot her right out the bat unless you're not running the full 5 or even 4 Monarchs. Very, very strong, very, very powerful synergy. And for me, that is really, again, I'm going to keep preaching this. It is basically the strongest synergy in the game. For me, anyway, it's the strongest synergy in the game. Might be slightly different for you, but realistically, you can't get one shot, which is, again, that's the whole point. We do apply corrode, funny enough, so we've just taken Lamia down with corrode triggers. Something, well, corrode damage anyway. It's not something that you really want to rely on, is that corrode damage. But when Astrid does apply that corrode damage, it's going to do a lot, especially if she double ults like she is doing here. I think this is what will help us secure the victory against this enemy Aphrodite, is the fact that we've applied that corrode to her, and she's going to lose that HP next round. So Mavis does die. We'll do a bit of damage to us, a bit of damage to the enemy, and we'll proc our Aphrodite again. Unfortunately, it is a miss, so it is what it is. But enemy already has our Mavis, so can't really do very much. Something else to take into consideration. We didn't kill this Aphrodite right now because she removed those debuffs. So she removed the corrode effect from the enemy team. So we need to kill Mavis as quickly as possible here. Realistically, it's not going to happen. It is what it is. But Yeah, that's the reason, because we didn't want this Aphrodite to come back. Fortunately, Astrid to, you know, do the business and to secure the victory here. But don't underestimate this Mavis. She can take out your entire team in one go. Like, realistically, unless you're running a full five Monarchs, she will take out your entire team. So let's jump into Kumpai. So I know this is a defense. So we have defended successfully against Kumpai. Again, it's because of Gaia. So there is an opposing Gaia and opposing Elisha. Eudora to apply the burn as well. Very good strategy. Alongside Cleo to give the additional damage boost. But we should be building up enough stacks and reflecting. So Arthur would have been frozen there had we not reflected that debuff. It's something on Arthur's kit that I don't particularly mention, but we do have 50% chance to reflect debuffs, which is Bind, it's Corrode, it is Freeze effect, it is Stun effect, it is just everything that you can think of. Taunt effect as well. Arthur does, or the entire team have a 50% chance to reflect back. Now 50 is a flip of a coin. It's not reliable. You shouldn't rely on it. But when it does kick in, it does actually make a big difference. So here, enemy is up to the eyeballs in Holy Shield because of Cleo, because of the banner that they've got going on as well. We do see Eudora to pop off here, taking a chunk of our health, but we also reflect all that damage back, which means that enemy Eudora is down. Now, lots of Holy Shield stacks here, helping protect, but there's just too much. There's just too much going on here. Attack HP stacks, Arthur building up every time one of our units takes action. Again, really, really powerful effect. We do apply Corrode as well, but it's not the main point. It's not the main strategy anyway. Just having Gaia on the team to slow down the enemies is enough for us. So we will move on to the next one. Again, we've defended successfully on our first team. And let's go ahead and see our second team in action. We'll see how they defend against a reasonably similar setup. There's no Aphrodite on the enemy team, but it is Dahlia to swap with Ophelia to get those attack increases and HP increases. Also, there's the Phantom synergy, and then I think he's got 2 Monarchs. Let me just check. No, he's got 3 Phantoms. So the reason he's got 3 Phantoms is because Victoria is 3 stars for Kumpai here. So Victoria is 3 stars, which means that she's taken up that Phantom synergy. So got to be much tougher to kill than normal. Phantom synergy, again, it's something that you can use. I wouldn't put it over the Monarch synergy, just because the Monarch synergy is so strong. Being able to not be one shot is very, very powerful, especially against like opposing Dooms teams where you attack and then you die before you get to do your attack. That is very, very tough to overcome, but can be done with the Monarch synergy. So we do take out Holy Shield here, Dahlia to do a lot of damage here. That I think that would have killed us had we not had the full 5 Monarchs. And again, that would have been a one shot. Like, for example, yeah, the full 5 Monarchs, having those Monarchs in place, really, really strong, really powerful. I really love the Monarch synergy. But again, it's tough. The reason that Aphrodite didn't proc is because she's silenced, by the way. Another way to stop Aphrodite, silencer. Yeah, really strong. But Dahlia back. She's going to start copying Ophelia's buffs as well. Yeah, so now stunned Aphrodite. So it is another way of pushing through all of that damage and trying to kill the enemy team as quickly as possible. But unfortunately for our opponent, we do run full 5 Monarchs. I'm going to keep stressing this point over and over again. Monarchs is the way to go for PvP. I'm not joking. Strikers die too quickly. Phantoms, they die and then they come back and then they die and they come back. They don't retain any buffs unless you have an Avengers Phantom team, which is why it's so strong. But yeah, it's just Phantoms nowhere near as powerful. Don't even talk to me about enchanters. Enchanters are garbage. They really are properly I mean, what's the point? I've got a 50% chance to confuse somebody, and then they've got a 30% chance to avoid doing what I don't want them to do. Just give me a 100% chance. Like, make both of those 100% chance, guaranteed chances, and then we're talking. But yeah, it is what it is. And then the last one to these strikers, phantoms, enchanters, monarchs, and one more. What is it? Yeah, Aphrodite finally unleashed. And then there we go. So even a 3-star Victoria can't overcome the power of monarchs. So that's it from me. Just want to say thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. Hope you've found something interesting about these team setups. Are they the same team setups as in your Yggdrasil? Let me know, and you have a great day.